Acts 13:52 sounds like a pretty normal verse. It says, and the disciples were filled with joy and with the Holy Spirit, yada, 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 everything is going great. But it wasn't. If we go back to the verses right before that, Acts 13:50 and 51, it says, but the Jewish leaders incited the God-fearing women of high standing and the leading men of the city. They stirred up persecution against Paul and Barnabas and expelled them from their region. They just got kicked out of town, and they shook the dust off their feet, went on to Iconium, and then it says, and they were filled with joy. Now, for me, that's hard to get, because for me, so much of the time, my joy is tied to winning. In the Bible, in the New Testament, in Acts especially, so many cases, they seem to almost be more joyful when things went wrong. They seem to be more happy when they failed, because something was going on there. But for me, joy and winning are like really tightly connected cousins. And my first thought is, maybe God judges me, or I believe God judges me based on whether or not I succeed, right? So that's the reason I feel better when I win. But I don't think that's true. I don't think I'm being honest when I say that. I don't think it has anything to do, or not much to do, with whether or not God is judging me. I think it has everything to do with how I feel. And I feel better when I win. Whether I'm feeling connected with God that day or not, when I win, I feel good, and when I lose, quote unquote, I feel bad. So I equate joy with what makes me feel good, with little reference to God. And all God's people said, ouch. I hope that's not true of you. I hope that you feel joy based exclusively on your relationship with God at all times, and not with how you personally feel and whether or not you feel like you're succeeding or things are going well around you. But way too much of the time, my feeling of joy is tied tightly to how things are going around me and how I am personally feeling, instead of how well I'm connected with God. And that's something I really need to work with when I come to Paul, who's constantly saying, consider everything joy. And James, who says, consider everything joy. Because the reason I can't consider it joy is because I am so consumed with how I feel and how I'm doing that I don't sometimes even have time to be concerned with how well I'm connecting with God. And that is today's very, very painful jumpstart.